Hello, my name is Ian Cole and welcome back to this series of YouTube videos on how to start a record label. In previous videos we've looked at the types of record label available, we've looked at registering a business, and in last week's video we looked at buying a domain name and creating your website. Now things get serious, so we're going to look at how to plan your business or do a business plan. And you might ask, well, why would I want to do a business plan? So the reasons that we want to create a business plan is that a well thought out and researched business plan will show that you're serious about your business, especially if you need to sort of raise some finance. So it will help lenders and possible investors to understand what your business idea is. And it shows that what you expect the profits and income streams to be over a 1, 3 and probably 5 year period. It's also important to have a marketing plan, and that's crucial to help you attract funds. So what we'll do in the next video is we will look at creating a profit and loss spreadsheet, which will help with the financing. But what I've actually done for this video is I have created a business plan template that you can download from my website. So let's do that now. First thing we need to do is we need to put in www.ianjcole.co.uk, and it's come up. Hit return. That'll take you to my website, and along the top here we've got different pages, and if you click on the YouTube page, that will take you here, and you'll see there are 3 files to download. You don't need to register any of that sort of business. I'm not keen on that, collecting email addresses and all that sort of stuff. You can just go to the website, download this stuff and take it from there. And then 3 formats. There's one as a Word document, there's one as a .odt, which is Open Office, or there is a version as a PDF. Now obviously you can't write on the PDF, and we will have a look at the PDF version, but it means that you could print it off and you could fill it in and then take it from there. So if I now click on download, that will allow me to download that version, and I click on downloads and here we are. Okay, and what I've done with this template is I've put in some guide information on certain bits and some advice. So we'll go through this. The whole thing I think is about 9 pages. So you can use this as a guide to write your own business plan, change all of the information, take out what you do and don't need. And the most effective business plans aren't overlong and complicated. You want to cover the most essential bits that are part of what you're trying to get across. So the main aims, how you're going to get there, what you need to achieve to get along the way. It's always a good idea to put a front cover and a contents page. That'll give your plan a professional look if you're having to go to banks or talk to finance people. And don't rush the plan. A good plan will take weeks to complete. When I started Sinners Music, I created a business plan which took me about a month to put together. It was incredibly detailed, including demographic information, because the business wasn't just about a record label, it was about a retail shop, and it was about a lesson business. So there was quite a lot of elements to it. Some parts will be simpler and easier to put in than others, but it's just good to start the process. And actually, what's not a bad idea is to use the Word version or have the paper version and just start writing, just start brainstorming some of the questions that are there. So once it's complete, you'll have a useful overview of your label, your finances, and how you're going to achieve your goals. So the template is divided into 9 sections, and what I've done is there are prompts on what to include in each section in red, and not everywhere, but I have put examples of text to be written in italics. So let's have a look at section 1. So in here, we want the name of your label, who owns it, the address, postcode, sort of standard usual information. Now you might not have all of this information right at the beginning. It's always a good idea to put in what are qualifications and training that you've undertaken to get to where you are. So I I did several courses prior to starting the business. I have an MSc in music technology. I also have qualifications in teaching because we're a music school. So you can put all of that stuff in there along with any other further information that you think is useful. Now, every business plan should have an executive summary, and sometimes what happens is that you end up writing the executive summary last because you've got to put some of the other information in first. So here is an example of a template executive summary that I've done for Bog Off Records. You can read this at your leisure. It's also good to have the aims of the label. What are the unique selling points of the business? So you need to think about that fairly long and hard. And what are the financial targets going to be? Now, the financial targets you won't really be able to complete until you've got a profit and loss account for maybe 1, 3 and 5 years. Like I say, we'll be looking at that in next week's video. So moving on to section 3, we've got what's called a dreaded SWOT analysis. Now people go, oh my God, it's a SWOT analysis. If you've never done one before, the idea is that it helps just see where your strengths are, or the strengths of the people that are going to be working in the business are, what the weaknesses are, what the opportunities are. Okay, so strength, the strengths could be that we've got multiple acts with large social media followings already interested in signing. The weaknesses could be a lack of knowledge of a certain genre of music. It could be anything really. So and be honest about this sort of stuff. Look at where your strengths, yours and your colleagues' strengths, weaknesses, opportunities and threats lie. Are your threats the fact that there is another record label doing almost exactly the same thing as you? What makes you special? Okay. So section 4, we're looking at the key objectives. So, in this case, we've got an example of to achieve both regional and national media coverage. Okay, increase engagement with Apple Music, Spotify and other streaming platforms. You can put your own objectives in here. You need to think about what your main objectives are going to be. And we've also got more business speak in the sense that we've got some key performance indicators for the next 1 and 3 years. Okay, and it's always a good idea to have these as goals. It may be that you don't reach those goals, but it's always a good idea to think about it now and aim for those goals. Is one of the aims, we've got here, secure at least 3 high-profile media stories within the next year. It could be that, as it's a new label, you want to sign 2 up-and-coming bands that you can really get behind. Section 5, an overview of your products and services. So it's, in this case, music distribution to all major online stores, secured by a EMU band, including iTunes, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, Deezer. That's what Sinners Music currently does. But it also may be that you're going to be looking at doing some artist management. We, Sinners Music, we do an awful lot of recording with our artists, which the artists pay for up front. Now that means that that we budget for that sort of thing. The idea being there is that once say we're working on an EP or a single or an album with a client, they own all of the rights to that afterwards. So the fact that they've paid us to record and mix and maybe master the project, but at the end of the day they keep all of that themselves. Your products and services may be different. We've put a little bit here about merchandising. Are you as a label going to be doing the merchandising, or are you going to leave that up to your artists, or are you going to advise your artists to go with a third party? In this case, we've said Bob Shirt's an expert in music merchandising, and he'll create the product for your artist. So you need to think about how and who is going to do these sorts of things. We don't get involved in event management, but in this case it might be that your label does do that. Do you put on your own music festival? Just things to think about. Section 6 is operations and management. Who will be managing the label and who will be managing parts of the label? Is it a one-man band? Do you have 2 or 3 people who are going to be working with you? So you need to list and itemize who the key people are in the organisation and what their roles and responsibilities are. It's also a good idea to have a list of useful equipment that the business may have. Now we've got a recording studio, so in that recording studio we have a load of equipment. It's good to have a list of facilities and equipment that you've got access to. You may not actually own the recording studios or the rehearsal rooms, but you may be able to use some facilities or have an arrangement with a local facility which will help your artists. So section 7 is the marketing strategy and analysis. Here you need to start thinking about what the marketing goals and objectives are and who is your target market. Is it rock and indie? Are you a classical label? Are you folk? We Sinners Music are a non-generic label, so we've put albums out for comedians, we've put albums out for folk and rock bands and country music. So you need to think about who is your target market, who is the audience for the artists that you're going to be working with. Some labels like to be only one genre, so a good example would be there is a label in the north of England called Din Records, and they are predominantly electronic music. That's all they deal with. So are you that sort of record label, or are you a more generic label? Do you want to have hip hop artists as well as rock and folk and all the other genres? You need to think about that. Section 8 is the financial forecast. We're going to spend a little bit of time in next week's video looking at creating a profit and loss account so that you know how to do that. But it's good to start thinking about what the startup costs are going to be, what are sales forecasts and their guesses really at the end of the day, but it's always good to know on a weekly and a monthly basis and have goals. So from turnover point of view, are we going to do £10,000 in the first month, or are we going to do £200 in the first month? You need to think about that sort of thing. But we'll spend more time in next week's video looking at finances. So there's a couple of links here, so when you can put the cash flow forecast in for we've put 2 years in here. When Sinners Music was first started, the business plan, I think I did cash flow forecasts and profit and loss accounts for the first 5 years of the business. Now that takes time putting all that stuff together, and when I go back and look at them, in certain areas we were miles out, but it's better to have some sort of an idea. And then section 9 is a plan overview. What's the short-term plan? What's going to happen in the first 6 months? What's the long-term plan? What's going to happen in 3 years, or it could be 4 years or 5 years, you decide. And what are the contingency plans if the key performance indicators are not met in the first year? Okay, will the label be streamlining, and will cuts be made if the business is losing money? And I hope that was useful. So it gives it's a starting point for you to actually download this template and start putting your business plan together. I'm happy to take any comments or questions in the YouTube comment section below. Thanks very much for watching. If you like what I do, hit the subscribe button, and a thumbs up is always much appreciated, and ding that little bell if you want to be notified when my videos go live. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much. Bye bye.